Alrighty, so thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Olga for introducing me. As it's been mentioned, my name is Max and I'm data engineer at DataArt. So let's probably start our presentation. So let me probably introduce myself in a little bit more detail. I'm in IT sphere for over 5 years now. I've started as C#.NET developer and MS SQL DBA. Currently, I live in Wrocław. I absolutely adore cats, IT, Dungeons and Dragons, all sorts of fantasy books and stuff like that. And I've been working in all sorts of different domains throughout these years. I've worked in travel domain, in healthcare, in financial domain, and pretty much have seen quite a lot of different projects. So let me probably take a little forward to talk about the data and why do we love it so much. So as many know, data is a collection of facts, numbers, words, measurements, all sorts of observations that has been translated in a way that computers can process and store. Data in today's world is essential for making informed decisions, adapting to the rapidly changing landscape of your business domain, finding solutions for the problems and challenges your business or organization struggles with on the day-to-day basis, keeping an eye on risks and making sure that you're doing well and are on the right track. But how does that all relate to today's talk? The thing is that despite the desperate hunger and need for data and people who are able to play a major role in digitalization of different companies, many don't really understand which people are responsible for which data-related tasks. Let's talk a little bit about data engineers and how they are different from all sorts of other people working in data. So basically, data engineers are neither data scientists nor data analysts, neither are they database administrators. Data engineers are responsible for building pipelines to transfer and transform the data from one storage to another. They are responsible for data validation methods and building of the analysis tools, not using them. And unlike database administrators, they function on a totally different scale and usually focus rather on design and development. And database administrators are usually more focused on maintenance of the database structure rather than designing and developing them. Okay, I've compiled a short checklist of skills that one needs to become a data engineer. The thing is that there is not so much must-to-know technologies because the data technologies landscape is rather vast, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. So first and foremost, you have to be a quite skilled coder. You have to know basics of algorithms, data structures, scripting, software development lifecycle, and most importantly, relational and non-relational, also called NoSQL databases. You have to be adept at data modeling and types of data, query performance optimization, all sorts of data loading and transformation, data storage. You have to have basics of machine learning and fundamentals of data security and data analytics. Also, it's always nice to have the basic understanding of distributed systems and cloud computer and services in general, as well as understand what is right now on the market from different cloud service providers. So how did I end up being a data engineer and making a transition from .NET is rather the illustration of all current situation with pandemics. I've started my career as database administrator for MS SQL database server for the project related to the telecom solution. slowly and gradually, I've moved to being more of a full stack person, working on different aspects of our backend, and generally stayed in the same position as full stack web developer for 3.5 years. My last C# related project was actually the travel related thing, and as you might have guessed, when COVID-19 struck, I had to look for another project for the new place. And rather than just switching to another project in the same domain, I've took some time to reevaluate what I'm most interested in and sort of come back to my roots and started reading, learning, and practicing the stuff related to the modern data warehousing and data engineering until I pretty much got the chance to test my newly acquired skills on the project in the role of junior data engineer. So there are a few do's and don'ts that I would suggest for one pursuing career of data engineer to follow and probably be aware of in case of don'ts. So generally, it's very good when you're a generalist. You have a broad vision of different technologies, different skills. It's always good to have the strong basics in relational algebra and know SQL and NoSQL technologies. And it's never a bad thing to understand the business domain for which you're actually writing the tools and the code. So business domain knowledge is never a burden. And the thing is that as data engineer, you would work extensively with people working in the business, with data analysts that are adept in the business processes of the given company. And it's always good to speak with people on the same language to understand better what do they need and how you could fit your solution to their needs. Next, let's talk about things that one should not do. It's never a good idea to prioritize theory over practice. If you have a chance to read swiftly through the theory and then go have some practice, for me personally, that works best because theory can become quite extensive, especially in data engineering field. It's never a good thing if you're non-communicative and talkable person, because soft skills is basically the king for the data engineering role, as you have to work extensively with a lot of different people, and sometimes you even have to coordinate the work of many people, and team management skills are sometimes quite useful. It's always good to be flexible, and it's always bad to be sturdy and inflexible in terms of data engineering, because there is the current state of technologies is vast. Technologies develop quickly, especially after the pandemics. A lot of new projects and new tools have emerged, and it's always good to have the ability to learn quickly. So the next thing that's rather counterintuitive is being too much of a generalist. If you have the great breadth of your vision of the skills that you possess, but you lack depth in at least something, then you can't really be a data engineer, because sometimes the tasks that you'll face are terribly sorry. Yeah, misclicked the presentation. Yeah, the tasks that you will be working with would require the certain level of depth and technical adeptness in one aspect or another. The next thing is how one working currently as .NET engineer could bootstrap his transition if he or she is interested in. So .NET technology is rather the so-called online processing oriented technology. So this is something that we built our operational system with, our CRM solutions, sales platforms, and stuff like that. But generally, if you have extensive experience with one of the following technologies, like Entity Framework, Microsoft SQL Server, if you have ever worked with database first approach, or probably use Docker and build your database infrastructure by yourself rather than delegating it to the code generator, then probably you have a great chances of successfully transitioning into the data engineer from .NET world. Now let's finally talk about technologies and tooling. There are all sorts of stuff currently happening, and every major cloud services provider has some sort of their own tooling. There are some more sustainable and quite popular on-premises solutions like Hadoop and HDFS. But generally, it's very hard to predict something on the data related technologies landscape, as it is literally vast. I've taken this picture. It's almost impossible to see every single technology and fit it into this single slide. So there is a link to the actual article on that matter. But generally, data engineering involves tons of different aspects and literally tons of technologies. I could answer some of your questions if you would have any on my experience with some of the tools during Q&A session. But generally, the one thing that makes you a good data engineer is ability to learn new skills and new technologies quickly. Another thing that makes you even better is solid understanding of the basics. So if you know SQL, NoSQL, distributed systems, and general data concepts, then you will probably be good to go and learn any of the stuff that would be required by your project and anything that, well, your job would throw at you. So my story is rather short. Currently, I'm working mostly with Snowflake as data warehousing solution and Python as our main programming language for the ETL processes that we've built. And that's pretty much it. I haven't touched a lot of the stuff that's listed down here. But I'm also familiar with most of the major cloud providers solutions such as AWS Redshift, Azure Databricks, and stuff like that, which are quite similar to the Snowflake that I'm working with in certain aspects. They also have their differences, but the concepts are pretty much related. So this is pretty much it on my talk. This is rather short call for those who are currently hesitating whether or not they would like to try something new. I've tried, and to be honest, I like my position way more than what I used to do. And probably that could be a great option for you too.